This is the Savannah biome in Minecraft, and today I'm gonna show you how I turned this biome into a superior version of itself. If you've watched my other superior biome videos, you know the drill by now. There are a few steps we have to go through. First, we need to make some custom trees, structures, and other miscellaneous things that we can paste around instead of all the old stuff. So I got straight into making some new and improved acacia trees in different sizes. Now, I've never actually seen an acacia tree in real life, so I kind of just went off what I found on Google, and I think they turned out pretty decent. I make sure to always make at least a handful of trees so that the new biome doesn't look like a copy-pasty mess. And next up, structures. Because this is a savanna, they sometimes come with a village. So I will of course make an upgraded version of the savanna village, but as some of you might also remember, I just made a custom savanna village in my most recent video, so to save some time, I was simply gonna reuse the houses and tippies from that video. Although I did make a few tweaks to some of the houses and altered some to fit the style of the others and gave all the houses a profession. So now there is a fisherman, a shepherd, a farmer, a butcher and leather worker sharing a double hut, and finally a toolsmith with the correct workstation because last week I accidentally gave him a blast furnace instead of a smithing table, but that is fixed now. Unfortunately, unlike the swamp that has a witch hut, the savanna doesn't come with any special structures of its own, but this simply meant I had to come up with something all on my own. And so I started by clearing this hill with the natural moat around it. Great. And now it was time to create the custom structure. What I had thought up was a new type of dungeon, and to fit the theme of tippies and open grasslands, I took inspiration from some pictures of totem poles. I wanted to make a multi-layered structure where each new figure or head on the pole is a new floor of the dungeon on the inside. The first floor was gonna be the head of a snake. The thing is, carving faces in Minecraft isn't something I have done very often, so if you don't see the resemblance to a snake,
what is that?
Well, that is probably a fair judgment. Anyways, for the next layer, I wanted it to look like a gremlin that was sitting on top of the snake, and to separate the two layers of the totem pole, I also went for a different block palette, using mostly acacia wood both as a gray and an orange block. The final layer is probably where I took the most inspiration from actual totem poles, because I wanted it to look like an eagle or an owl. And I kinda had to do this over 2 attempts because my first attempt to make an eagle just looked like a penguin to me. So I ditched that and went for the owl design instead. Now the color palette for my totem pole isn't very true to reality, but I actually really like how it turned out. On the inside, I made sure to place spawners and chests on all the floors, and so my new dungeon type was finished. Then I made a pathway leading down to the water and pasted in all the new trees. So now it was time to get rid of all the rest of the trees that were in the way of the area I was gonna transform next. And because this savanna was mega humongously huge, I was not actually gonna transform the entire thing, only the hill with the moat and this other raised area over here, where I was gonna place the village. I terraformed the area, and as I learned in the previous video, tippies are always turned toward the east, so I checked their direction because I wanted to prop one of the tippies up to function as a community tippy. Then I pasted most of the profession buildings and built some additional very small tippies for more villagers to sleep in. For decoration, I made some campsites and other little bibs and bobs. Now we are getting to an interesting part of the village. I made one of the houses into a fisherman's hut, and obviously there are no places to fish on the raised terrain, so I wanted to create a pulley system leading all the way down to the river. And down there I placed 2 fishermen's huts and made a little dock with a boat for each of them. And that was the village done. Now that we have made the village, it's kinda sad that the villagers are forced to live in a barren wasteland that is left after I annihilated the original trees. So it was time to place the rest of the new trees, and as a finishing touch, I added some variety to the grassy areas by placing some stones and boulders. Now, just to quickly recap the changes we made, we started with the old, unimpressive savanna biome looking like this.
Boring!
Then we ripped out all the old stuff and was left with nothing but barren land. Then we created a whole new and superior version of the savanna biome, topping it off with a new type of dungeon that I am actually pretty proud of. I think maybe someday I might come back and transform the rest of the savanna because there's still a lot of untransformed terrain. Anyways, that was all I had for you in this episode, and I'll see you in the next video.